how Emily Blunt and John Krasinski created a relationship that makes us all feel a tiny bit envious. Emily Blunt would definitely modify her wedding day if she could go back in time. Not the bit where she promised to stay with John Krasinski forever, of course, just one small choice she made before that day on July 10th. She admitted, "I got a bad spray tan. And I would probably change that," in a March 2020 interview on The Late Late Show with James Corden. "When I look at the pictures, all I see is an orange hue that doesn't match the color of normal skin." After flying their guests to George Clooney's enormous Italian estate, which included Matt Damon, Meryl Streep, and Jimmy Kimmel, she still finds it amazing that she chose to save money on her bridal attire. "Why was I on a budget on my wedding day if it was a do-it-yourself project? Why?" she bemoaned. "It had some bald spots. It's awful. The weather was really hot, so if you sweat and have a spray tan, don't wear white. Orange is just seeping. It was awful. But if rain on your wedding day is considered lucky, then navigating rivers of fake tanner might as well be like hitting the lottery. Because that's exactly what the Golden Globe-winning actor and The Office veteran did 13 years ago on the shores of Lake Como. The British actress, 40, manages to convincingly inhabit a variety of characters, including a hapless binge drinker, a magical supernanny, and an icy fashion assistant, without divulging too much about her personal life. However, it would be nearly impossible to hide just how much of a good thing she has going with the 43-year-old native of Newton, Massachusetts. You can tell they each think they are getting the better deal in their relationship just by spotting them together on the red carpet, or out on a Broadway date. Except if you ask Amy Schumer, whose joke about the A Quiet Place 2 cast members having a pretend marriage for publicity was so improbable that there was really only one possible answer. Because, according to Blunt, their first meeting nearly 15 years ago literally caused an earthquake. She exclaimed, "Meeting John really changed my life," in a 2013 In Style cover story. "I feel unstoppable when I feel his support," she said. "On your good days, someone is behind you, and on your bad days, someone is in front of you." Like Jim, Krasinski is as certain he has found Pam. In a recent The Gossip Time segment, he declared, "I think she's the hero at home for sure," promoting the fourth and final season of his Amazon political action drama Jack Ryan. "Her assistance during this event has been what has allowed me to succeed, not just in terms of the logistics of having to continuously travel the world, but also in terms of being supportive and ensuring that my kids didn't desert me when I had to travel to these nations and film. In addition to being the one to take charge in their Brooklyn home, she's one of the coolest people, she's so talented, she's beautiful, and she's certainly out of my league," he said to the Daily Beast in 2016. "When you're fortunate enough to find your one true love, life changes for the better." In a recent The Gossip Time segment, he declared, "I think she's the hero at home for sure," promoting the fourth and final season of his Amazon political action drama Jack Ryan. "Her assistance during this event has been what has allowed me to succeed, not just in terms of the logistics of having to continuously travel the world, but also in terms of being supportive and ensuring that my kids didn't desert me when I had to travel to these nations and film. In addition to being the one to take charge in their Brooklyn home, she's one of the coolest people, she's so talented, she's beautiful, and she's certainly out of my league," he said to the Daily Beast in 2016. When you're fortunate enough to find your one true love, life changes for the better. The good fortune for the actor, writer, producer Jim Halpert, who is still best known as Dunder Mifflin's Gif-worthy Everman, started one night in 2008 when he just so happened to be in the same Los Angeles location as the Devil Wears Prada scene stealer. "It's a sad, boring story, I guess. He was in the restaurant while I was there." In an interview on Late Night with Seth Meyers in 2018, she said, "I was sitting with a common buddy. This is our love story. That's it. It was written. Without making fun, we would watch that on Netflix, especially if Justin Theroux were to return to the role." Krasinski was having dinner with that person when he noticed Blunt seated next to their mutual friend. The 6'3" celebrity completely enchanted Blunt, who claimed that he abandoned Justin and came over to us. "He was just standing there, making me chuckle. I sort of," which is difficult for Krasinski. He was all in before he even arrived at the table because he had viewed her 2006 Roman a Clef roughly 72 times. He recalled the incident on the Ellen DeGeneres show, saying, "It was one of those things where I wasn't really looking for a relationship and I was thinking I'm going to take my time and I was very nervous when I finally met her. Oh goodness, I think I'm going to fall in love with her," I exclaimed. "I said, I like you," as I shook her hand. Krasinski is certain he initiated the initial action because of that particular instant, which is permanently imprinted in his consciousness. Blunt responded, "I think it was me," when The Hollywood Reporter questioned her about the origin of the first date idea. "No," he responded. "We finally went on a date after I had been requesting it for a while." These early dates included pizza at his West Hollywood home, a trip to a shooting range, and a trip to a movie theater. He expressed this to Conan O'Brien, and tons of respect for one another. Blunt was fixated on his work in the 2009 film Away We Go even though he had never seen his part in the American version of The Office. He, though, was simply fixated. like the first time he heard her sing at a recording session for the 2014 film adaptation of Into the Woods. Every time he thought he had fully absorbed the weight of her skill, he was knocked off balance once again. In 2018, he said to Vanity Fair, "I just instantly wept. It was truly bizarre. It was similar to learning that your wife is able to fly." And then there was the time he hastily looked among the trays of muffins and bagels for napkins to wipe away his tears after seeing Mary Poppins Returns in advance. "I thought, I need anything to stop this crying. I was sobbing a lot. I used up the entire box of tissues in 20 minutes, he admitted to Ellen DeGeneres. When I ran out of napkins, it was all sweater. I had to get to the napkins. Just a lot of "oh, it's so beautiful," and wiping my eyes. After dozens of performances, he is still in awe. He told Vanity Fair, "When she starts doing what she does, the air changes in the room. It is so powerful, honest, and pure. It's like she can instantly activate a superpower." They manage their shared existence with a sense of awe that transcends the screen. In 2019, he explained to the Gossip Time how they managed to successfully juggle two highly successful careers with everything else. "I gotta say, it just sort of happens organically," he said. "It's one of those instances when I was a tremendous fan of hers even before I had the chance to meet her, and I still am now. Therefore, we are just really supportive. We understand the nature of the business and that you must travel and do some things, but the most crucial thing is always to return home and be with your family." After I and her both started crying, everyone else in the room started crying as well. Then, although I believe most people were unsure of what was happening, they were crying because we were crying. Yet it was excellent. Ultimately, she said yes, which is fantastic. It has a significant role in everything. By July of the following year, the Leatherheads director Krasinski insisted on supplying the location for their wedding, and they were married at Clooney's 18th century estate. The actor told Elle that George had told him, "I have this place and you should feel free to use it. I just said yes on the fourth request, since I had this notion the first 3 times." He cannot hardly be serious, but I could see that he was beginning to feel hurt. "I genuinely offended George Clooney." Not quite 4 years after getting married, the couple began the enormous task of parenting. They welcomed their oldest daughter Hazel in February 2014 and Violet, her younger sister, 28 months later. They then moved into a townhouse in Brooklyn, about 3,000 miles from Hollywood, where they thought they had the best chance of maintaining some semblance of normalcy. Of course, even elementary school students understand what a movie star is. In an interview with the Sunday Times, Blunt recounted that despite their best attempts, Hazel kept asking if they were famous when she got home from school. Blunt and Krasinski purposefully avoided using the F word, which was a first for them. She said, "It had been explicitly stated at school by someone. Not really, I don't believe I am." I was like, "Hayes, did someone say that to you?" "Yes," she said, but she wouldn't say much more after that since it's strange. It's strange. She doesn't really care about her position in the industry, but I don't want my kids to feel like they are being singled out or treated differently than other kids, she said. "I'd be pleased if they can keep their ignorance for the longest time. They aren't even interested in seeing what I do. That actually makes them quite distinctive." The much-anticipated sequel to their 2018 thriller, A Quiet Place 2, brought in about $58.5 million during Memorial Day weekend in 2021, with Krasinski's work once again captivating audiences. Blunt knew as soon as she read his script that she would agree to be her husband's director again. However, it meant that she once more had to violate her most important professional rule, not to have their romance portrayed on film. Krasinski initially abandoned the plan. He had to approach her and ask her to play the part he had written with her in mind, accepting her recommendations for the role prior to the first film, which marked his directorial debut. He told The Hollywood Reporter, "I didn't want this to be the one job where she was like, 'Listen, I don't know if I love this, but I love you, so I'll do it.'" She read his script about a family raising their children in complete quiet in order to protect them from creatures that hunt by sound while they flew across the country. He wrote this post-apocalyptic universe in between late nights with Violet, who was still a baby at the time. "I kind of turned gray," she remembered telling the outlet. "The idea of letting someone else play the part was beyond my comprehension." So she questioned her husband about if it was still for sale. He remarked, "It was like she was popping the question to me. It was one of the pinnacle moments of my professional life." "Yes," I exclaimed. "I'm shocked San Antonio wasn't our emergency landing location." His excitement was well-founded. They received high praise from their peers in the industry as well as their adopted New York City neighborhood after a $50 million opening weekend that resulted in an overall $341 million worldwide gross. When a garbage truck rips around the corner, screeches up to these cans, and the guy jumps off the back, he recalled to Men's Health shortly after the April 2018 opening. They were in the middle of the Monday morning school drop-off at the time. He picks up a garbage can and walks to the rear of the truck. When he sees me, he says, "Saw it Sunday." Without making eye contact, the speaker says, "F King awesome," and continues. I turned to Emily, and we exchanged high fives. "That's the coolest review you're going to get," she said. About 9 months later, she received her honors. She also reminded us all how fortunate she felt as she stood on the Screen Actors Guild Awards stage carrying her brand new award. She stated as he sobbed tears of pride, "I am going to share this completely with my husband, John Krasinski, because the entire experience of doing this with you has completely pierced my heart directly. You make wonderful movies. I'm so fortunate to be here and to have made this movie with you. I appreciate you giving me the part. If you hadn't, you would have been in serious danger." Since then, they have each recorded a number of unique career victories. Her portrayal of Mary Poppins was as bit as charming as the Disney original, earning her nods for both the Golden Globe and the SAG. Meanwhile, the production of his Jack Ryan spy thriller for Amazon is coming to an end this summer. And of course, his massively successful web series Some Good News got him a deal with CBS, and helped us all get through those first, perplexing, terrified weeks of our stay-at-home existence. Even with the sequel, they are conscious that their Quiet Place success is a lightning-in-a-bottle scenario they might not be able to duplicate. I'm aware that I'll never make another film that is this popular, this unique, this about the underdog, and on top of that, have my wife be there with me through every step of the way. There's no greater present that the universe could have given me than to go through the largest success of my career. And I don't have to describe to you how it felt, he told Emily, according to Men's Health. We were in the boat together. I told her, I don't know if it can ever be like this again. Like almost everything else she does, her response astounded him. He said, and again, leave it to Emily, who is better than me at everything. She says, it can't. She just captured everything in such a wonderful way. It shouldn't and cannot happen again in this way. Take this incredibly precious item that we discovered together, and display it on a mantle. Go out right now and do something else. She will support him if his next endeavor is unsuccessful, but more often than not, she will be cheering him on from the sidelines. He will always have his biggest supporter by his side, no matter what happens.